Restoration Beautification Commission. I'll start with call to order.
Lucas Richardson.
Here.
Jermaine Sullivan.
Here.
Kathleen Grabowski.
Here.
Jess Stallings. Mary Kay Wilkush.
Here.
Public comment on agenda-related items? No? Okay. We have none. Approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to add to the beginning of new business. Tracy Davis is here to talk about the chill grant. So that's going to be the first item on new business. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, voice vote?
Aye.
All right, approval of the meeting minutes from December 4th meeting.
Make a motion to approve minutes from December 4th, 2023.
Second. I'll second. All in favor, voice vote?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, unfinished business. Last meeting, we talked about reviewing our bylaws for our annual review here. So now's open for discussion, any changes and recommendations to the bylaws. I can go first. To section 3 membership, I'd like to propose, now that we are a couple years established as a commission, I think it's time now to add a couple more members to have some more insight and some help with volunteers and tackling some projects. So I'd like to propose revising that from 5 to 7 members. Is there any discussion on that?
I have a question. What if we only get one person and then we have 6? What do we do?
We still have a
Is that
quorum.
okay? To have 6?
Well, until it comes to a 3-3 vote.
Okay.
If it comes to that, I'll make sure that I have a city attorney opinion beforehand.
Okay.
Comments on that?
I think that's a good idea. The more the merrier, man.
Okay. All right, well, I will work with the city attorney on that one. The other addition that I
Do
had,
we need to make a motion on that or no?
I think probably when we're done kind of talking about all the revisions.
Okay, but what if we don't? Okay.
The other revision I was gonna add was, we don't say when our meetings are in these bylaws, so I was gonna add, I think in one of our meetings, we voted already to do first Monday of the month at 9 a.m. unless there's a holiday, it's the second Monday, is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Are there is that in other commissions' bylaws? My only issue is I would caution that because if for some reason you had to change that, it means you have to go back and change your bylaws. So if you tie your bylaws into meeting times, it means those two concepts are married. So if we have 2 more members, and let's say we can't meet at month, then you have to go back and change your bylaws. I would suspect that's why it's not in other bylaws. So I would caution you against that.
I thought I read that it was in some of them, but that makes sense. So it's okay how we're doing it then, the flexibility of just kind of proposing.
I think
at the
so, as
beginning
long
of
as
the years.
we let Kelly know
Okay.
the calendar so that she can update the calendar on the website and stuff.
Okay. Well, maybe we don't need that then. Does anybody else have any recommendations?
So it's not the first Monday?
As of right now, it is. What Chief and Mary are saying is we don't necessarily need to have that in our bylaws. I thought we did.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, the biggest thing about the meeting times and dates are just getting them in advance and letting the public know when they are. That's the biggest obligation for the school.
Okay.
And I think when you guys talked about that before, you said the first Monday of the month unless a holiday, and then others could be added as needed.
Okay.
Because once spring comes around, I'm guessing we'll go back to 2 a month.
Just that one change?
Sounded like it. All right, is there a motion to revise the members to 7 members?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, voice vote?
Aye.
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 Okay.
And just for a reminder, as a matter of procedure, this must be presented to city council for approval as well.
Right. Okay, moving on to new business, Tracy Davis here to talk about the Cho Grant.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Davis from Housing North, and I wanted to give you an update about the community block grant, which we're referring to as CHILL, which is the Community Housing Improvement Local Livability Program. So as I'm sure you know, we received a $500,000 grant to help with housing renovations. And the main priority for the city is, per the grant, is so that homes meet code for health and safety, and things like asphalt siding, which is a fire hazard. So it does, it can provide up to $40,000 for each individual owner-occupied home. And when I say owner-occupied, so that means it could be a rental unit, but an owner must reside in a portion of that rental unit. So if it's a duplex, they have to be in one side of the duplex. If it's an apartment building, it has to have, they have to be in one of the apartment units. And it does go up to 80% AMI. So for our county, that means the maximum ceiling would be $42,400 for one person, and then it goes up based on the number of people in households. So for example, if there's 8 people in a household, which, I mean, it could be, is $79,950. So there are sort of 2 pieces of that grant. One is that anything for $10,000 and below is a total grant that's given. And then if it's above $10,000, there is a lien on the home. It's a 0 interest, 0 payment, forgivable after 5 years, secured by a second mortgage with forgiveness. So basically, they just have to hold on to the house for 5 years, and that debt is wiped clean. So are there questions about the grant before I? Great.
now.
Okay. So we are still in the process of going through the administrative guide and the trainings with the state. The first is tomorrow. So I might not have the exact ins and outs of the grant, but we are setting up on January 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. We're setting up a sort of open house for anyone that needs help with applications and filling those applications in, because what we really want to do is be as user-friendly as possible. You'll start to see things on social media. There'll be an interview in the paper. We'll have it listed on the website as soon as the state gives us that application. So there'll be avenues for people to connect with the Community Development Department. Teresa, the new person downstairs on the 2nd floor. But we're going to try to be out and in the public and have applications, be there to help people walk them through. I'm connecting with a number of different, from the Human Services Coordinating Body to later this week, I'm going to the Peer Navigators, which really talks about housing to help people walk through all the different programs and resources in our county. So I'll be presenting at those to just get people to apply, and then we can help them do that. So one of the things I would like to ask this council for is assistance with some of those applications. The bulk of them we believe will happen in this month, because this is the timeline per the state, that we really need to focus on having people apply and going through the application process. So it would, I don't know what that application looks like at this point. It does include an income verification, which we're going to be receiving training on, I think, in 2 weeks. So I don't foresee that it's a difficult process, but if people could be there at least to help on the 30th, it will be in this building. That would be helpful. And the other thing is that we were hoping that the final applications, after everything is income verified and that they meet the qualifications of the items that they want to do in the house. So it can be interior, it can be exterior. It does need, again, the priority would be for health and safety. And it includes things like insulation, plumbing, electrical work, siding, windows, doors. And again, we're receiving our first training tomorrow to specify what that is. But we were hoping that this committee would be the body that we could bring all the final applications to, and then you make the final determination on who would be receiving that money. So we're hoping that we could do that with this group.
I got a couple questions. If I
Sure,
can.
go ahead.
It has to be a city resident, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then the 500,000 grant, was that separate from what the land bank got for?
Yes.
Okay,
Totally separate.
totally separate. So we could potentially fund $500,000 worth of.
It's actually $450,000 because there's $50,000 in administrative fees,
Okay.
which will help with everything from what would be a building permit that someone would have to pay for to Spicer's is going to help us with the pre-inspections to determine what is actually needed in that home. Because it's not about cosmetics, it's really about health, safety. That's the priority for that.
Okay, so 450,000.
Oh, you, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was-
No, you mentioned income, is there a minimum or maximum income or?
Yes, so there's not a minimum, but the maximum is based on the area median income, which the maximum ceiling that they're allowing for this grant is 80% for our county, 80% for the entire grant across the state. But in our county, that means if you're a one-person household, the maximum you could earn would be $42,400. So it doesn't matter if you're related, if you're an adult living in that household, and so I live with a significant other, we're gonna count both those incomes, and that has to stay below the max of 42,000.
And that, what was the household, 79,000 something you said?
When they're doing AMI, the maximum it goes up to is 8 household members. I mean, we could figure out if there were more, but 8 household members that are earning money, the maximum would be 79,995.
Would you need any of us to attend the training with you, or do you think if we showed up early on the 30th, like you could bring us up to speed?
I think that once we get that income verification and they give us the application, which is supposed to be in the next 2 weeks, I think we might, if anybody is interested in it, from our perspective, even if one person could help, if the whole committee can't, that's fine. We could kind of go through that application with you, and we can do that in advance. I don't think sitting through those trainings, knowing how state trainings go, would be really beneficial probably for you. And we can always capture that little section and play the section that we'll need assistance with the application on for you, if that is helpful.
What about advertising this opportunity to the community? How are we doing that right now?
So Teresa is working with actually putting an advertisement in. We're going to do Facebook advertising, and then we had a list of other social media sites that she was going to be contacting the people that handle those sites.
Okay.
What exactly is this program called? Like,
It is the Community Development Block Grant, Community Housing, Local Livability, Improving Local Livability
Chill.
Housing Improvement Program. That's why we just say CHILL, because they made it so cumbersome.
No kidding.
Where will the meeting be at?
The meeting, the open house, it will be here, it'll be on the second floor, and then, depending how many people come up, we'll have sort of like a waiting area in the hallway, and then take them to different offices within the
good.
building.
And what time?
From 6 to 8 p.m.
So the 30th is a Tuesday, just so you guys know, but there shouldn't be a council meeting because it's the last.
Yes, we planned it around, not council meetings, not work study sessions.
So I just looked at my calendar. I cannot do that day, unfortunately.
I can be
but
there.
I can.
is this
Thank you.
January?
Yes,
Jess will volunteer.
Okay, thank you.
So you got two volunteers. Jermaine and Jess will be there. They
thank
said.
you.
And I don't know, Chief, do you think we need to have like a motion on this for being like the supporting body or anything? No?
Nope. There's no action by this committee or commission being taken. She's asking for assistance, and individually, it sounds like there's some assistance, so.
So,
But then
yeah.
we would be awarding the grants too, so, or at least selecting for the,
Yeah, you would be the final decisions on who receives the grant awards. That is,
But will we do that individually at a NRBC? I can't meet your timeline to come back to have this.
yep, we would come back to the group with the presented final applications, and then
Have them awarded or approved here?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But as your question today, I don't think you need any type of motion
okay.
to support this individually. Unless,
Unless you
You're
don't
looking for-
want to do that. The alternate plan.
yeah.
Is there a timeline from the 30th to when they need to be approved? Because our next meeting is the 5th.
Yes, so we anticipate coming on the 5th
Okay.
to the next meeting unless the state changes their timelines. What would happen then is if anyone else during the interim, we would accept applications after the 5th, but they would go to the next month's meeting,
Okay.
Okay.
if there's any leftover money.
So I think what we're hearing is NRBC supports the Chill Grant, and there are already two volunteers who have volunteered to assist it, and it sounds like there's a consensus to help facilitate this through approval process. That's what I'm hearing. If I'm wrong, tell me.
Yes.
All right.
And then if there is anything else that comes out through the trainings that we might need assistance with, I would come back and talk about that.
When we choose these applicants on the BIP, is that like something we do right after the meeting and recorded? And
Yes.
So we have to be careful not to say names or addresses?
Well, it will be, it's part of public record that they have applied for the grant, and that's part of that application process that they're allowing us to talk about that
Okay.
in an open meeting. But we did want to have it be an open meeting because it is federal pass-through monies, so that there is a formal process in place, and it's not two people in an office deciding. Yeah.
Right, all right.
It sounds like it's exactly what our commission's really kind of talked
Right.
about because, we've really focused on occupied units that have blight, so this is a great opportunity, it sounds like.
Okay. If there's any further questions? No? Thank you.
Great,
Thank you for coming.
So, all right, next item is goals for 2024. So I take this opportunity to kind of go around the commission to kind of talk about our goals, some of the things that we did accomplish and maybe did not accomplish this last year, and then try to look forward to this year. And those could also be what I can use to present to City Council in February for our annual update. So we'll go around the room. Who wants to start first?
I'll start. I just, so mine are to start putting together a plan for the senior center, exactly what we want to do, what we need to get, so we're not scrambling around come April. I'd like to do more, get more projects on the books. And more volunteers, that's about it.
Okay. Is the senior center project something that we're looking for, summer or spring?
It's supposed to be the first one in April.
First one in April, okay.
And that one may take more than one session, right? Yeah.
All right.
I can go next if you don't need.
Yeah.
So, I also want to get some things on our books. And so what I did is just put together just a few things that I'm gonna pass out. I don't know if these are all things that we can do, or we have to coordinate or work together with someone, you know, like the Parks Commission, but I thought one thing we should do in the spring and the fall is to have, you know, the bags that people can put up their leaves in. Maybe we buy some and have a free giveaway or something that day, just for one day or half a day or something, so that we can at least provide some help to some people that are unable to purchase those. So if you look at it, the River Street fountain area, I think that could use a little sprucing up. I don't know whether do there, but if that's part of the parks, I don't know.
The River Street, I missed the one word. The River Street what?
The fountain area, is
Okay.
that parks or not?
I would contact the DDA for that. I think you might have a couple different groups included in that conversation, but certainly if any actions to be taken, I would open the DDA.
Okay,
Mayor, I don't know if you feel differently about that, but the downtown district. So you probably coordinate with the DDA and our DPW. That's not a park. I don't think it's parks.
okay. Well, I think that's an option for us to look at, you know, see what there is, how much land is there, and maybe we could do something, because that's like your First Avenue going down, you know.
Sure, absolutely.
It would be nice to have something there.
I'm not totally caught up to speed with the streetscape stuff, but I do know they have talked about doing something
Okay.
pretty significant in that area.
Okay,
I don't know
so
when
maybe-
that's implemented, but
So maybe we can have a discussion if that's part of it.
yeah, with the DDA, I think Chief's
Okay.
recommendation is probably the best.
I still think that we can still do some things with the streetlights. There's some dark areas that maybe we could look at again in the spring and put that on a list and send that off, because I think Jermaine said we have to have so many or
Yes.
something. And do we have an ongoing list already?
I don't, not that I know of. I mean,
Okay.
I know
Okay.
like 4 streets that need, right off
Yeah,
the top of
and
my
I know a
head.
couple too.
Are you talking about streetlights that are currently out or areas that need streetlights?
Both.
Okay. So streetlights that are currently out are reported to consumers. The police department used to compile a list and give it to the DPW.
Okay,
Now we're being told by DPW to go online ourselves and register them.
okay. And what about if it's a new one to be added?
I would coordinate that through the DPW.
But I thought we had to have a list is what they told
Yeah,
us before.
that's-
Okay.
Before we could go to
Sure.
have so many or so. Okay. So I don't know, then maybe this is part of the street scripts, but the signage to the beach, I don't know if that's something that we could look into, but you can it's little tiny signs. Don't you think it'd be nice to have some big signs saying, you know, go to the beach, some nice signage? So I thought that was something we could look at. Assisting with those free lawn bags would be great in the spring and the fall. And then I think we should look around where we can have some areas in the neighborhood to where we could do some type of planting of some flowers, and I'm not sure if the neighborhood could gather around it, but something to think about. We talked about painting utility boxes before, and I think Jermaine had that on her list before.
Yeah.
So,
We actually Kathy and I just talked about that. I need to gather up some pictures so that I can call AT&T and
Okay.
let them know, like, the ones that are like completely, like there's one down on Washington that's completely fallen over and then ones that are busted.
Okay.
So if I have a
Yeah,
bunch of them,
and then maybe we can coordinate.
yes.
What picture could go on there that would work. So I just think organizing and cleaning up the highways. We need to send out some volunteer letters. We need to do something with the volunteers. I know Kathy's in charge of that, so I don't know how you feel like that, but maybe we could all give you a list of people, like maybe we'll all give you 20.
Absolutely, I
And
can-
maybe we
yeah.
could send out some letters,
A
because we
form.
definitely need to get that done in the spring and summer, so.
Sure, sure.
I don't know, that was my thought.
No problem.
I thought also, I know it's a park, but that dog park downtown, or down at the beach, could use some improvements.
Yeah.
Did I think they were gonna do something with that?
Maybe they are, I don't know.
Enlarge it, I think, for one.
Okay, so maybe that's being taken care of. And then the fire hydrants, throughout the city could be painted. I don't know who does that.
The water department.
They do it? Okay.
Well,
And-
they said we could do it, because we checked into that one too.
Oh, okay.
And
So
they
maybe
said
we could add
that in fact, the chief gave us a location of every single one.
And is there a lot of
One-
them?
There's 460.
Oh,
Yeah, we have them mapped in a system accessible to the city, and who has painted those in the past? Do you know, Lucas?
Water department.
Water department, okay.
That's like a maintenance activity.
They said it was, yeah, what's his name?
It's probably
Riley.
James, yeah.
Yeah, we should go to Riley, he would have the paint.
okay. Well, maybe, we could add that.
That would certainly help
Something
them.
we could try to get like,
Some kids to help us
the
or
National
something.
Honor Society.
Yeah,
Something like
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So my last one I wanted to talk about was the crosswalks painted, or like when you're going down the street, they have the curb yellow. I don't know who does that.
DPW.
TPW, because there's a lot of those that you can't even see anymore. So,
No, they usually do that, I think,
In
in
the
the
spring.
spring, yeah.
so those were mine.
So if there's things that are traditionally done by a city service like DPW, we need to run it past them, so that we aren't taking something that they are supposed to do and
Right.
doing it with volunteers. There might be some issues with that. So I think those are great ideas. Let's figure out how to get them done.
Okay.
I think we should find some more streets like Justice Project on Davis, like sidewalks like that, and 'cause there's been a lot of people still that have been like super happy that we've.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big,
And there's a lot of those.
I mean, it only took us an hour, so.
And Lucas wanted to
Well,
go all
is
the
it-
way to
it-
Weddington with it.
Is it time well spent for someone from this commission to drive around the city and make a list from, I don't know, top 10 hit list from worst to best, which right-of-ways look the worst, and then we just chip away at it as we can? Would that be a way to organize this? And, you say, what are the 10 worst areas as far as sidewalk and right-of-way? You put it on a document, and then as we get time, we chip away at it. Hey, next week we have 2-hour block, what do we do? Hey, let's go over to whatever, Vine Street and do this block. It might help us keep organized and be more efficient.
I also think we should look at, and we talked about it last year and we just never got any further, but either a spring, trash pickup day, like we talked about, maybe somewhere in the city, or a fall trash pickup day,
I agree. I think it's really important to
we-
get something like that going
Right,
for our
if we
community.
bought a dumpster or had one
Yes, we did have,
donated or
a couple
something.
months ago, we did have that, on one of the, we actually had a motion to approve a project for that.
I actually know that people who have the wheelie bins, the pink dumpsters, I don't know if you've seen them, there was one downtown. But it's very possible that if we were to purchase a certain amount or one, that they might be willing to also donate another. I could always talk to them about that if that's something we decided on.
So we did actually already decide on doing it.
When are we doing?
I can find that date,
A
but
fall?
we did, no, it was in the spring.
Okay,
But obviously a donated dumpster would be better than a purchased dumpster.
well, even if we purchase one and they donate one, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think you could get that answer by next meeting?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I could text them
Okay.
later today and find out.
let me try to find this real quick in my meeting notes here. I think all we were waiting for was, I gotta meet with the city manager to talk about it.
Okay.
We haven't been able to touch base on it.
Yeah, a big thing with that too, it's advertisement for wheelie bins. So it's showing, they're part of the community and stuff like that too, so.
And I think it would be
where's
nice maybe at our next meeting, once we make a decision, to put it on the books as the dates.
Yes.
So we all have it and we know what we're doing, because it gets filled up so quickly. Everybody's busy in their own direction.
Just bear with me a second, I'll find it.
If you guys wanna get me a list of the phone boxes and the street lights that are needed and out, I can work on that.
I have a point of contact somewhere buried in my emails. Last year, I reached out to the phone company to, so I can see if I can dig that up, if we have phone boxes. That's the company that maintains those.
Okay.
So it was in November's meeting,
Okay.
May 4th to 4. And then we said 2 dumpsters in each of the following 3 locations: 9th Street Boat Launch, the Armory parking lot, and Duffy Park. So we talked about 3 locations kind of scattered, like dividing the city.
And so while we're on that, so are you expecting us all to be there in different locations? How are we gonna handle
I
that?
think those
Just
are
so
what
know?
we gotta probably start planning for.
Okay, just so we can put on our calendars.
Yep, so we have the April senior center cleaning, or project, whatever that entails so far, and then, the May 4th, dumpster project, so those are what are already scheduled on the books, and then it sounds like we have this, community service event too,
So
with the
we're
gym.
doing just one day, all day of having the dumpsters available?
It looks like that's what we talked about, yeah.
Okay.
And we voted on a price as well, but if there's a better price than what was presented,
Yeah, I'll see what I can find out and let you know.
okay.
Well, if we're gonna, go in order, I would just like to say my goals for 2023 are, a lot of these that Mary have entered my mind also. The boxes have been a long time eyesore. And of course, we have to check with the city about the fire hydrants. And, I know this isn't something that we could do, but, I would like to see a sign, is there a sign of the Manistee businesses anywhere in the downtown area? I'd like to see, I got this from kind of watching people, and like especially they park on Memorial Drive, they come across the bridge for like say the sleigh bell parade, and they're all standing on that corner thinking, I wonder what they got here. And I thought that if we had a nice sign, either by the marina or by the Memorial Bridge, no, which bridge would that be? The Maple Street Bridge, Washington. That, however they do it with A, B, C, D, then they could say like, oh, there's a candy store in Manistee. Oh, there's a baseball card shop. A lot of things that maybe would hit somebody in the family. Okay, we'll go to that and then we'll check out the candy store or something. And then I thought maybe in other towns that they do this, maybe the businesses put a little money into it to have their name on the board. I'm not sure.
I think that's a great idea. What you're describing exactly is in the scope of the DDA, and outside the scope of this commission, but it's a great idea. But that is exactly what DDA, it's right in their line of what the scope of their authority is. So I think it's a great idea. That would need to come from them because it'd be outside the scope of this commission.
But maybe we could have a recommendation from our.
Having a recommendation from the NRBC might help that process, certainly.
I know there's plenty of room there on that memorial parking lot. There's some nicely by the woods or something there that would look natural and, not be an eyesore or,
Maybe invite one of the DDA members, because there's some of the stuff on our list that would be nice to know if they're doing it or not.
Okay.
Is that possible? They come to us?
Yeah. Or, yeah, they have meetings too. I mean, either way, we could invite them or one of us could attend their meetings. I know, do you and you go to a lot of those meetings, don't you, Kathy?
he does.
He does, okay.
I think they're in the morning. But
I could reach out to see if they can come here. That's fine. Kathy?
No, that's all I got. And then I'll send out these letters if I get, and I have some names too.
So are we gonna all provide our 20 names?
Sure.
I
Very
don't
good
know that
goal.
many people.
Oh, I can write it down.
Hey.
And then I composed a letter, or you have a letter.
Don't we have a letter though from previous when we did the,
sure
in
we
the
do.
very beginning? Gary, didn't we have a letter?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Kathy, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I think we got
And you
it.
can work from it, maybe to create.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
I think we never really, we've talked about it several times, but I don't know if anybody's really approached like the NHS or the school or,
I think that's really important, because
I think we really
most of the
need-
places, most of them have to do like volunteer hours and stuff anyways. So if they know that there's other options besides, I'm sure that there's certain things that they turn to, like, okay, go here, get your hours, but if they know that there's other
You're still
options.
here? Okay.
right?
Yeah, I think they'd like that.
Have
Maybe
a-
as part of that volunteer, maybe we could send that to the principal
Okay.
from MCC.
I would do all the local, I would do,
All of them.
Onaka, Bear Lake, everywhere, because they could.
All right.
Do you do email? Do you have?
Well, the email that I have for this group
Yeah,
is
do you use it?
broke.
Okay, all right.
So if you could just send it to, can you send something like that to my private email?
Sure,
Grabowski Jim, small letters,
just wait.
hotmail.com.
Do you have a picture of the senior center by chance? Like an aerial?
Yeah, for mapping, I would, yeah. What would you look for? Just,
I just want a aerial of the building so I can draw on it like exactly what I'm thinking about doing.
yeah,
Um,
I'll make one today and email it to you, then tell me if I need to zoom in or zoom out, so yeah.
Yeah, I
It's,
can't.
it's literally an overtop aerial.
Well, I can do that too in the county website, but it looks weird. Like,
I'll put something
I
together.
don't know if you had a closer one.
I can make
City
one.
flew the city in 21, so it's a pretty good image.
Just to be clear, we're on 6I. Are we under discussing goals for 24?
Yes.
Just for clarity.
Anything else? Anybody else? Jess, you got anything else?
No, these are all great ideas.
All right, my couple goals here. I think from all that went down, we should probably take a step back and finish it. The mural that we left off and is now white.
Not discussing
Um,
that.
I think we gotta figure out a way. And I've had some, input from some community members about maybe doing a paint your spot sort of thing. So we could maybe look at hiring an artist to paint an image, and then you would have like these little portions where all you do is you pick number 11 and you paint that blue, and then you don't know what it is until the total image is painted. This way we could have it totally unique, and I don't know, we could just hire an artist to do it.
I would recommend that this commission's initial plan was to develop a policy and procedure on murals in the city of Manistee and recommend that to city council, who ultimately has to approve it. If this group can develop a process, I think that would be the biggest endeavor, and everything can be spun off of that process. But right now, there's no defined process approved by our city council. So I think from the First Street mural, that's one of the things this group learned is we probably should have a policy and procedure on murals in which everything goes through. That can guide all future projects and decisions. That's my recommendation. And that would have to be approved ultimately by council, but that's probably the best path to go through from this group.
I agree with you, but the mural on First Street is not public property, so that's why we didn't have to,
understand, yeah.
so.
Maybe take a look as we're reviewing policies and procedures to see how they address private property, if they do at all. So,
I think they do the ones that I provided by Grand Rapids, so.
yeah.
We would just have to take and pull some of that information out.
The other thing that I had on here was a goal to have maybe by each meeting 5 to 10 new volunteers, but it sounds like if we're gonna, everybody can bring a list of 20 people to at least reach out to, maybe that's a good way to do it. So we can start with that and then see how successful that is after we send 100 letters out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that'd be 100 people.
Yeah. And then the other two, we've already talked about, so. All right, well, we got a good list of some goals, and maybe over the next couple months, we can start, like we've all kind of talked about, putting actual projects on the calendar way ahead of time, so we have a lot of notice and planning can happen. So right now, we've got April and in May scheduled, so.
Can I make a recommendation? I'm a big believer in SMART goals. So do you want maybe Mary to compile a list based on the discussion here that this group can approve our 2024 goals? At the end of 24, we can take a look at that and see how do we stack up, how do we achieve these goals? It's something that, again, SMART goals are specific and measurable and attainable and those types of goals. I know we do it at the police department every year, and just lets us at the end of the year so we don't get lost on things. Say, how did we set these goals in January, how do we stack up? Otherwise, sometimes it's easy to get lost. It helps keep your focus throughout the year of we're focusing all our energy towards these goals. Just a recommendation. I'm sure Mary would be more than happy to compile a list based on the minutes today for you guys to approve. But again, or you could just as is, but that's my recommendation, just to keep us kind of holding ourselves accountable and making sure that we can focus our efforts where they go.
Mary, you want a list of the stuff that I gave them?
That sounds great. Mary, if you'd love to volunteer your time.
I will compile a list and email them.
She's already writing the minutes out, and they're all in the minutes, so.
All right. Good on goals, everybody? Moving on to the recycling center. So I'm sure everybody's well aware of all the issues that are going on with the recycling center, and Jermaine had asked me to put this on the agenda to maybe we could provide a recommendation to council if we have any. I think I don't really understand what happened even happened. I don't know if anybody knows the background, but why, after the building was made, why couldn't people put the cardboard in the truck? Does anybody know that?
I think they were hoping that the students would do that, like, set out time for the students to come do that, but it's just, there's too much, and, I mean, people aren't always kind to the recycling truck and stuff, so, turned into a big mess.
Is this an issue at both schools or just MCC?
I think that's the only
I
one.
think it's.
MAPS has a
They do
trailer.
too? Oh,
I think
didn't-
it's just MCC.
I think it's just less publicly known.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So again, if this group is gonna come up, recommend a solution, I think it's important to accurately diagnose the problem. Do we think the problem is volume, or do we don't know what the problem is necessarily
Well,
yet?
the problem is volume, and then people can't, I mean, they're just throwing garbage in there, like, it's cardboard, not,
Is it open all the time, or is it, I mean, is there specific hours, or is it open all the time?
Unless they,
Yeah, I don't even think there's a door. Is there a
no,
door?
no.
If it's a volume problem, do we know if there's a way to get a second truck in there?
well, MAPS has a trailer that apparently.
My understanding is that they have a trailer in the back of their school, and I've been told, whether right or wrong, that's available to the public. Maybe we should nail that information down, and if that's true, maybe make that more public. If it's not true, then that's checked off the solution list. Does that make sense?
It's behind high school, right?
Yes. So if that's, if we think it's a volume problem, then we can look at ways to address the volume. Maps might be a solution. Or my information might be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure I stood there and said, hey, do you guys have one of these too? And they say, yes, just less people know about it. So maybe we can nail that information down if anyone has a contact at the school. But it's important to figure out what the problem is, and what I'm hearing is volume, and then people are just throwing trash, like garbage in there.
Do you remember, was there ever like big issues when the city was doing it on the north side in Industrial Park?
I don't
Because
know
it was
if
all
there was.
fenced in, right?
It was fenced in, there was a surveillance camera on it, yes. I don't remember any major issues, but I don't know if I would have known. That's been years ago, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you this, that there's been some conversations where the police department would conduct an elaborate investigation of who dumped this trash versus this, and that's probably not a cost-effective way to go about it. The amount of time it would take to find trash and track it back to a house, and that's not the greatest solution. Other than that, the only other thing I know about is what I see on social media, with people showing up there and throwing their trash. Again, it's very similar to the blight. And speaking in general terms, there isn't blight because people didn't know you couldn't do it. They just don't do it. I mean, some people won't follow the rules, and so good luck to this commission to figure out what the solution is to recommend to council. But just make sure we have our hands around what the problem is before we recommend a solution to council. That's my recommendation.
Is there like a garbage can by it, or a dumpster or anything like that by the recycle truck? Or could we offer something like that that's
I
maybe
think that'll get,
only there?
I think that'll make it worse.
The issue would be, there's been some volunteers that have agreed to pick up the recycling. I doubt you'd have those volunteers when there's trash on the floor to pick them up. So, but I see what you're saying. Well, hey, if we give them two options, instead of saying, oh, I didn't know there wasn't trash here, let me throw it in the recycling.
How much was it? Is it super expensive for them to just pick the recycling up during the week at your house?
That's what I was just gonna ask, if the city ever, I've only been here.
They used to
almost
have
20
it, but
years. I
then
don't
they
remember.
stopped doing it, and I
Yeah.
don't know why. I mean, we never took part in it, so.
I'm sure it was a cost thing for sure that council decided not to do it anymore, I'm
I
sure.
wonder if we can look in and see what the cost is now.
Do we have the ins and outs of that recycling program to see who pays for it, who's responsible? Does this group know the ins and outs and facts to it?
No.
So maybe knowing what the program is based on, who's involved, what the I think maybe that might help us start diagnosing the problem. For example, there's no way to regulate whether someone from Father City comes in and dumps their, I don't know if that's just for city residents or not, but I think having those facts would help this group.
can we get those facts,
The
Josh?
city of Manistee. You can get them through your liaison.
Just saying.
I'll chase those down for you.
Okay, great.
Look it up.
All right, so I'll just, make sure that's on the agenda for next month as well.
Listen,
We're right on to public comment next. I think we have a public comment right here.
We can
You
go
might
to
have the
public.
details on that, probably.
Well, this, when they added on the north side, the recycling respondents took care of it. And they would lock the gate at night, in the morning, all the crap was outside. So you couldn't even get near the place. So that's why now then they contracted with Central, they take everything over there. There's styrofoam in there, big pieces, people throw everything into the trailer. And so, and we pay for that, that's a city deal. I can remember we were paying 15,000 for a long time. So, what we pay now, I don't know now that Central's got it, but I mean, we did invest, I think 10,000 in that, and then they got that barn built for 91,000. And so it's they have two people who go out there and load the trailer, and they can't keep up with it. There's so much junk that people just told me this morning, there's so much in the barn. But I go up to Manistee High, and the trailer's always backed in, so people don't know that. And so, but they just put rails up on the steps so you can get up and down there. But
Oh, they must
it is,
Is your understanding that MAP's trailer is also available to the
Yes.
public? Okay,
yes. A lot of people go up there,
okay.
so it's open to the public. So just so you know.
One of the issues, again, this is not a police department thing, but one of the things I can just offhand is that just for city is it intended just to be for
It's
city?
supposed to be for city
So
residents.
there's absolutely no way to regulate that? I mean, there really isn't. So that's probably one of the challenges. You know, I'm sure that, you know, we assume the best in people. If you got a bunch of cardboard and live in Father City, you know, so that might be one of the issues to overcome too.
Well, it's like when you have on a weekend, when the trailer's closed up, people just throw it out there, and that's why they were having the messes out
They're
there.
getting rid of that cardboard one way or another, so they're not coming back home with it, sure.
It's a mess.
Sure.
But, and I like it cleaned up simply because it all blows up to my house. I'm cleaning it up there, so.
take care of that barn there. We're putting you in charge.
So maybe this commission can, I'll still get some questions answered and take a hard look at it and see if there are recommendations. And maybe one of the recommendations you land on is to do a house by house type deal with, I don't know, but let me get some facts for you based on what Councilman Grabowski says well, and take a look at it and see if there's a solution moving forward.
Well, a lot of people are asking, then why can't we do like Travers and put out a glass dumpster and paper and all that? I said, I think we discussed all that here a couple of years ago. And they decided not to do it that way because we had no place to put the glass either.
I think we had those when we had it in the facility. I think we had glass separated. We had that whole facility that Lucas is talking about. I just don't know why we went away from it. I don't have that information why we went away from it. But it was a segregated area. There was a camera on it. And I thought it was cardboard, glass, and maybe trash.
Plastic, maybe.
Maybe that.
They have that kind of similar in Onekama.
Maybe part of my question is to find out why we went away from that program and went to this program.
Well, because we didn't have any place to put the glass. They found out nobody wanted it.
So we were collecting it and didn't, okay. So we didn't,
They were crushing it for a while.
I remember it cost more.
Yeah, then they had no place left to put it.
Where does Onekama and Arcadia take theirs?
Pardon?
Where does Onekama and Arcadia, where do they take theirs? Because
I
they
don't know.
have separate.
I met with Jeff Donson and he was gonna check into it too, because they were talking about those dumpsters where they moved and people were complaining already. But the cameras, why they didn't get camera work, I offered to go sit in front of those cameras and look at who was coming in. Half of the time they didn't work.
Oh, Jesus.
So that was the problem. I go back a long way.
Public comment?
Well, I just,
Come on down.
1507 Vine Street. Benzie has single stream recycling, so, you dump everything in one tub. They have 2 dumpsters, it's right on the highway, maybe contact them and see how they deal. Because maybe Manistee could handle if it was really simple.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, go to the order. Jermaine, you got anything?
Nothing.
Kathy?
No, nothing else.
Larry?
Nothing.
Jess? Chief?
Just an update about the budget. We have currently until June 31st, we have $2,104.04. It's worth noting that we had a conversation about splitting money approved by city council, splitting some with the parks and some with the NRBC. Those conversations were contingent about language change. I think there's money available for this group out of that money for projects, but it's not, it's still kind of muddy. I made the request, it hasn't made its way into the budget. I can revisit that with the city manager, but it's certainly not reflected into our
Not
budget.
understanding why there's still a conversation about it, like okay, I'm done, okay.
I mean, you did that at city council
Yes.
a long time, and we were waiting for those funds.
And requests have been made. I don't know if the bylaw language change muddied the water a little bit. I don't know how it would, but again, it's not reflected in the budget. I can revisit that, although I have visited it. So,
Talking about the proposed bylaw change that came to council last time, is that what you're talking about?
yeah. So I think maybe, I'm confident that we'll get some direction on what monies are available to us. Keep in mind, a couple of things that, whatever money is in our budget is there to June 31st, so that's kind of the meat of our projects is the spring and into the summer. And then one other budget piece, I think this group approved the super duper leaf blower, for lack of a better term. You and I should probably get together and see if we get some winter pricing on that.
Yeah, there's a couple things on that list that we
needed.
approved already.
Okay.
That we
The
should-
winter time might be a good time to buy that stuff, maybe, so, that's it. Oh, and one other thing, I've called a meeting for this winter with the new building official, zoning, city manager, and city attorney to figure out what blight enforcement looks like moving forward, now that we've added positions to the city, and I have an idea, talking with the city manager, how it's gonna go, but I wanna make sure that whoever's enforcing the structures, whoever's doing zoning, and whoever's doing junk, everyone is on the same page. And we have a good understanding with the city attorney, and that we have a really good process moving forward as far as what the expectations are and who's doing what. So that, really this stuff picks up as the snow melts. We're all on the same page. And so I'm very confident we'll have that meeting, and I'll report back to this group how that meeting went.
Do you think it would be a good idea to have the building inspector be a part of these meetings?
Well, it's neighborhood restoration and beautification, absolutely. I mean, has he come here yet? Have we had him? I think it's really important to have him here. I mean, my understanding is that he's gonna be handling the structural blight because he's a licensed contractor. And so I think he's probably a big part of some of the strategies this group might recommend to council.
I think we should invite him to the next meeting at least, because if we're gonna be voting on some of those grants, it'd be good to have
Yeah,
some
has Teresa Waldo come before this group?
background.
well,
Teresa may have.
She's a zoning administrator?
Yeah, I
Has
think she
I think
did.
Teresa
I
did.
think she did, too.
All right.
But I think Jerry should be here for when we talk about the grants, approving the grants for certain homes.
Well, let's get him here the next meeting, if nothing else, for meet and greet. And that's it. That's all I have.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.